Welcome back to New Day. President Obama just one vote away from ensuring the nuclear deal with Iran survives Congress. Two more senators now affirming their support despite serious reservations. One of those senators is Chris Coons, a Democrat from Delaware who is on the Foreign Relations Committee. He joins us now. Senator, thank you so much for being with us this morning. In announcing your support for the deal, you said, frankly, this is not the deal you had hoped for, and you have concerns about whether the U.S. can hold Iran to the terms. So, an unsatisfactory deal that you don't think or you're not sure the U.S. can enforce. That hardly seems like a ringing endorsement.
That's right. I think this was a very close call. Coming out in support of this deal doesn't change my unwavering support for Israel or my deep distrust for Iran. The core issue for me here is, can we ensure that our vital allies in Europe, the folks who brought this deal to the table and who ratified it, the UK, France, Germany, the EU, that they will stand with us during the whole lifetime of this deal, even as their own countries begin to develop closer economic ties with Iran. If we can count on them, and I ultimately was convinced that we can, and if we aggressively enforce the terms of this deal and have a zero-tolerance policy for cheating by Iran, then I think it can end up being a positive deal. The deal does accomplish some big things. Iran has to give up their 12 tons of enriched uranium that they've built up at great cost over the last decade. They have to put under wraps 2/3 of their centrifuges, and they have to let in inspectors who will be physically present and monitoring all of their nuclear sites, their whole nuclear fuel cycle for more than 15 years. But I am very concerned about what Iran will do with the tens of billions of dollars they'll get, that they'll likely try and use to support terrorism, and with what happens in 15 years when they will have an industrial-scale civilian nuclear enrichment program.
Let's talk about 15 years. A recent poll, 56% of those polled said they believe the world will be less safe because of this deal. Let's project 15 years forward. How confident are you, as you sit here right now, that the United States, that Israel will be more safe than we are right now from Iran in a nuclear arsenal?
Well, there's no guarantee that Iran will dash towards developing a nuclear weapons arsenal 15 years from now. What this deal lays out is a pathway for them to have a large civilian monitored nuclear enrichment program. We will be more capable of effectively striking Iran if they decide to take a nuclear energy program and turn it into a nuclear weapons program. But I frankly think whether that happens will in some significant part be influenced by how strongly we enforce the deal and whether we convey that there is a credible conventional deterrent capability both for Israel and for the United States to take out Iranian facilities.
Senator, the president's one vote away from making sure that the Senate can't block this deal right now. Now there are some saying could be just maybe 6 votes away from perhaps being able to support a filibuster in the Senate, meaning there will never be an up or down vote in the Senate on the nuclear deal. Do you think there needs to be an up or down vote in the Senate on this?
I think there should be, and I had a conversation with one of the senators in our caucus leadership yesterday. Technically, we will be on the bill right when we get back next week. So we will debate this. But this all comes down to whether or not Majority Leader McConnell will reach an agreement with Minority Leader Reid to let us go straight to the vote and have an up or down vote, which should be a 60-vote margin, or whether we have to spend an entire week going through procedural votes and ultimately it's filibustered, as it were, by a 60-vote margin.
Senator,
as a caucus that was opposed to games with filibusters over the last 4 years, I would think it'd be really regrettable if we didn't ultimately go to the floor and cast our votes for or against this deal.
Senator, let me ask you a presidential politics question right now. You are from Delaware. You were close to the vice president. You supported him. You worked for him in his 2008 campaign. Have you spoken to him about the possibility of Joe Biden running for president?
Yes, we've spoken a number of times about it, and I've reached out and said it was my honor to go to Iowa and campaign for him in 2008, and I'd be honored, I'd be thrilled to get to do it again. I had the chance to work closely with Secretary Clinton when she was Secretary of State, and I think she's a very capable, very seasoned senator and former First Lady and Secretary of State and would make a great president. but as someone who's from Delaware and who really admires the vice president, and I think he is the best and strongest voice for America's middle class and our most seasoned and senior foreign policy and national security expert in the administration.
Which way do you think he's leaning?
I will wait until I hear from Joe. And I think he is deeply divided. I think he is a man understandably grieving over the loss of his talented and wonderful son. And I think he's going to make a decision and deserves the right to make a decision on his timeline and to make the right decision for his family as well as for the country.
Senator Chris Coons from Delaware, thank you so much for being with us. Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you, John.